Hark and attend to this discourse. It is a common folly of the modern mind to suppose that our comprehension of the world rests upon a bedrock of unassailable certainty. On the contrary, this exposition shall endeavor to demonstrate that what we hold as knowledge is not a fortress of proven stone, but rather a most intricate and delicate scaffolding of probability and economy of thought. We pilot the course of our lives not by absolute truths, but by masterful intellectual frameworks that are forever being tested and remade. Verily, the demarcations we scribe between fact, theory, and sheer belief are but matters of degree, not of fundamental kind. On the probable nature of a fact. Let us first consider a declaration of the most pedestrian sort, namely, a brick lies here upon the earth, and we shall find it verily freighted with unexamined suppositions. To make such a plain statement is to presume upon the faithful operation of our optical apparatus, upon the constancy of our memory as to what constitutes a brick and the earth, and upon the persistent existence of the object from every angle, even those we do not presently observe. We are furthermore assuming the unwavering dominion of physical law, which prevents the object from winking out of existence in the blink of an eye. This recognition, sir, elevates what we might carelessly deem a simple fact to the station of a complex system of inferences. A fact then reveals itself to be not but an inference of such exceedingly high probability that it commands the general assent of sensible men. 2. The life and death of theories, or a contest of parsimony. The grand theoretical frameworks by which we seek to explain the universe are not immutable monuments, first proven true only to be suddenly and catastrophically cast down. Nay, these theories are living things, they wax and wane. The merit of a healthy theory is measured by its ability to explain the widest constellation of observable phenomena with the most striking thrift of principle. This is the very essence of that magnificent razor of the scholastics, which dictates that entities ought not be multiplied beyond necessity. Theories do not perish from a single fatal blow. They fall into disuse when they become burdened by a great many ad hoc appendages and bespoke justifications, requiring constant tinkering to account for new discoveries. It is a slow and pitiable descent into baroque complication that heralds a theory's demise. 3. An object lesson, the terrestrial plane, or why a sensible man might believe a foolish thing. The archaic notion of a flat earth presents the most potent object lesson. To a primitive man of the veldt or tundra, whose world is bounded by the visible horizon, such a conclusion is not foolishness. It is, in fact, the most economical and rational explanation for the evidence presented to his senses. Even in our enlightened age, its adherents can erect coherent, albeit fantastical systems to preserve their belief. They will contend that the Antarctic is a great wall of ice forming the circumference of this terrestrial disk, and invent unseen shadow objects to explain the moon's phases. These models can, with sufficient ingenuity, be amended to account for any and all objections, but only by becoming kaleidoscopically complicated and freighted with unprovable and extraneous contrivances. 4. The clockwork of the heavens, or the heavy burden of epicycles. Consider the state of celestial mechanics ere Copernicus set the world to spinning. The geocentric model, placing our Earth at the hub of the universe, was no mere child's fancy. In its final Ptolemaic form, it was a magnificent and intricate clockwork, capable of predicting the motions of the wandering stars with commendable accuracy. Indeed, the first drafts of the heliocentric scheme offered no immediate advantage in their predictive power. The ancient system, however, relied upon a veritable horological nightmare of epicycles and deference, circles turning upon other circles, to explain the peculiar retrograde motions of the planets. The new theory, while itself imperfect at first, provided a foundation for a vastly more economical understanding, culminating in the elegant ellipses of Herr Kepler, and in doing so, won the day. 5. On the origin of creatures, great and small, or how evidence may overcome intuition. The belief in a divine creation affords us another striking case of a tidy explanation grown unwieldy. To men of an earlier epoch, for whom the annals of the earth were but a few brief chapters, it was entirely logical to assume a grand artificer. For how else could one explain the breathtaking complexity of living things, when simple observation showed that every creature begets only its own kind? Yet, as evidence mounted, Mr. Darwin's great thesis concerning the transmutation of species became the more probable explanation. We have the testimony of the rocks, which reveals a grand pageant of bygone creatures, the telling similarities in the very architecture of disparate beasts, and now, in our time, the imitations found within the microscopic world itself. Creationist models may be twisted and amended to accommodate these facts, but only by descending in a bewildering maze of special pleadings and convenient, last-minute justifications. 6. A distinction of paramount importance, or why a simple premise does not a simple theory make. Here we must draw a line of paramount importance, that between a simplicity of initial principle and a simplicity of total explanation. It may be argued, and not without a certain facile appeal, that the notion of God created all is simpler than the manifold workings of natural selection. But this is to mistake the tidiness of the seed for the economy of the entire forest which springs from it. A flat earth theory might seem simpler at its inception than a globular one, but the theoretical edifice required to make a flat earth comport with all observations becomes a monstrosity of towering complexity. A truly economical system of thought, good sir, is not one which commences from a simple premise alone. It is one which can account for the great and clamorous diversity of worldly phenomena with the fewest possible laws and the most elegant of intellectual machinery. Hence, we must conclude that our comprehension of the great real is no fixed and surveyed territory, but a constantly shifting landscape of calculated probabilities. What we call facts are but our most assured wagers in the great game of knowledge. The mark of a worthy theory lies not in its claim to absolute truth, but in its power to provide the most elegant and economical accounting for the world as we find it. It is by this noble pursuit of a parsimonious vision, this constant weighing of the probabilities, that mankind inches ever forward toward a more coherent, if never absolutely certain, illumination of the world in which we find ourselves.